The pilot was seconds away from landing on 4 planes. And he didn't even know it. The runway was right there. The pilot was descending, perfectly aligned. But something was wrong. The lights ahead looked correct. Everything looked normal. Except it wasn't the runway. It was a taxiway. And below, 4 fully loaded planes were sitting directly in his path. Just seconds away from one of the worst disasters in aviation history. July 7, 2017. A calm summer night in San Francisco. The sky is clear. Visibility is good. At the airport, everything is running as usual. Flights are arriving, one after another. Pilots are landing without issue. Nothing feels unusual. Inside the cockpit of an approaching Airbus A320. The pilots prepare for landing. Checklist complete. Speed stable. Altitude decreasing. Everything is under control. Air traffic control clears the aircraft to land. The runway is in sight. Or at least, it appears to be. From a distance, the lights seem correct. A straight path. Bright and clear. But what the pilots are actually seeing is not the runway. It's a parallel taxiway. And tonight, that taxiway is full. At night, airports can be deceptive. Runways are usually lit in a specific pattern. Taxiways use different colors. But under certain conditions, those differences become harder to notice. Fatigue. Lighting. Angle. Everything combines into one dangerous illusion. And that's exactly what happens here. The pilots continue descending, believing they are perfectly aligned. On the taxiway below, 4 large aircraft are waiting. Engines running. Cabin lights on. Passengers seated inside. Hundreds of people. They are preparing for departure. They have no idea that another plane is descending directly toward them. Closer. Lower. Every second. Bringing him closer to disaster. Inside one of the aircraft on the ground, a pilot looks out of the window. At first, it doesn't seem real. But then it becomes clear. A plane is approaching. Too low. Too close. Not on the runway. Backhand index pointing right, it's heading straight toward them. The pilot immediately grabs the radio. Where is this guy going? The message is urgent. Confused. Alarmed. Air traffic control hears it. They look at the radar. Then at the visual feed. And suddenly, they realize the truth. The approaching aircraft is not aligned with the runway. It's seconds away from landing on the taxiway. The controller reacts immediately. There is no time to explain. No time for discussion. Just one command. Backhand index pointing right, go around. Inside the cockpit, everything changes in an instant. The pilots push the engines to full power. The aircraft begins to climb. Rapidly. Urgently. Just as it passes over the waiting planes below. The margin. He passed over them. At just a few dozen feet. Seconds later. And the outcome would have been very different. Investigators later analyzed the data. The conclusion is chilling. Backhand index pointing right, this was one of the closest near misses in aviation history. If the aircraft had continued, it would have hit multiple planes. Hundreds of lives lost in a single moment. There was no mechanical failure. No system malfunction. The aircraft was working perfectly. The weather was clear. The problem was human perception. A visual mistake. At the worst possible moment. One wrong alignment. One illusion in the night. And this story almost became a tragedy. In the dark. And seconds. From disaster. This was one of the closest calls in aviation history.